Well guys, I believe we got a pretty exciting adventure on our hands today. Now let me explain. Alright, so here's what we're getting into today. Here is the adventure of the day. So I've mentioned in passing a few different times to Matt at Diesel Creek and a few others that I may be interested in picking up some old friction machine, I should say. Better be careful, they'll be sending me more stuff. But preferably a dragline. I think it'd be cool to have it sitting on the lot as a fancy flagpole and something that's usable enough that I could possibly take out, dredge a pond, or play with on a job a little bit just from time to time. So Matt actually had a guy email him that was semi-local to me, semi-local being about 4 hours away from home, that's got an old Insley WB sitting out in the woods. Supposedly it's been there for, I believe, like 35 years and not been touched. It looks like it's might be in pretty good shape. It's hard to tell from the pictures, but that's what we're going to do today. We're going to stop by this guy's place on the way home and check this thing out, seeing if it's worth putting some effort into to try to get fired up and drug back to southern Indiana. So fortunately, through the power of YouTube, I've actually got a fellow YouTuber, Brandon with Dirt Grain and Steel, that lives fairly close, like 15 minutes from where this machine's located. So we're actually going to go over to his place this morning, pick him up and a handful of tools, and then head over to the machine and see what we can get into. So let's find out. Here we go.
This poor truck's been slid off the side of river dikes and everything else.
Well, Brandon, Mr. Dirt Grain and Steel, welcome to the channel.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for chauffeuring us around this morning.
You're welcome.
Major disclaimer, I have no idea what we're about ready to get into. But supposedly there's an old Insley WB dragline back here somewhere, so let's go see what we got. All right guys, over here in the weeds somewhere, this right here, look at that. Can you guys see it? Can you find it? This is what we come to look at. This is an old Insley WB dragline crane. Got some pretty cool history on this. Justin's grandfather actually ran this machine new, later bought it, been sitting here for about 30 years here on the farm in this position. If you guys see from the trees and stuff, it has definitely been tucked away in the woods for a good little while. The kind of double-sided on this thing, we believe, from kind of looking at some of the gears and stuff inside, it's actually either a lower hourd machine or it's been very well taken care of over the years. But the two things it's got going against it is a larger machine, which makes it a little more difficult to use, and because it's been sitting for so long, you guys can kind of imagine what kind of shape everything in. All the levers and controls are froze up. I got a picture. Brandon actually pulled the cover off the engine. The engine is stuck in it. Had some kids stop by and decide to borrow the radiator and not bring it back, so we're missing a radiator. Sheet metal and tin on it is not horrible for what it is. This is one, let me get a light here real quick. This is one that is definitely in too good a shape to be used for scrap, but I just don't know if I got enough time being this far from home to get her going. What's your thoughts, sir?
It's really good shape mechanically. Being the engine stuck, that don't bother me too bad. Pop the head off of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Detroit. There's only like 3 things that could be wrong with it.
Yeah, and there's only 3 million Detroits out there, so there's plenty of parts available. I think it's in pretty good shape. I really do. There's one bushing I seen out on the bar across for the hoist for the boom, but that's no big deal.
One thing I really like about it is they got the crane dragline R clamshell with it.
Yeah, and they got the brush hook that I might try to get bought. But yeah, and the history too. It's
we got a history on this machine since it was new.
And plus the book. Them books are hard to find, so that's a big plus.
I just wish it wasn't 5 hours from me.
Yeah, But at least it's only 15 minutes for me.
This is true. This is true. I don't know. See, I go to Florida to Ritchie Brothers, and Matt or Chris talks me into buying a haul truck. Then I go to an antique show with Matt from Diesel Creek, and now he's trying to talk me into buying a friction crane.
Yeah, and you haven't been to my place yet.
I know, I know.
Talk you into bringing home. You want a 503 road grader?
I may end up with one.
Got one of them.
Man, guys, I don't know. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. It is a cool little piece of history, and I love that we have actually have the history on the machine. Got, I believe it's a Page drag line bucket over here for it. It's definitely well used, but for what we're going to use it for, it'll be sufficient. And then around the corner over here, we got the clamshell bucket for it, which would be really sweet to have all these multiple different options for this particular machine.
The only thing I noticed about these clamshell buckets is they don't have the teeth on them. So in your harder soil,
yeah, that one over there does. So this one here would be for like looser material, like down home. That'd be for an example, would be like unloading barges.
Yeah, yep.
Where that style bucket over there would be more
For your hard work.
hard work.
Yeah. And clamshell buckets are kind of one of them things that you don't use that often. I mean, it would be nice if you ever did want to scoop something out of the back of a truck or something.
Right,
Wouldn't put
right.
the floor up. Or a lot of the old timers around here use the clamshells with teeth on them for moving brush.
Really?
Actually grab a pretty good sized water brush with them and stack it up on a pile. There's another bucket right there. That's a Hendrix.
No, that's a dredging bucket. You guys can see it's perforated.
Yeah, this is a nice Hendrix bucket right here.
So this would be used a lot more for pond or ditch or river work.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see if I get you down in there.
To run out of.
There you go. That bucket looks like it's in considerably better shape.
That one was for the M.
That was for the M. So there's a second machine. Justin, this is considered a parts machine, correct? Because you guys got a good operating M.
We have two M's. This is the parts, and the other M is an Elkhart.
So you care to give us a little bit of history? Your grandfather worked for a dredging company, correct?
Yeah, worked for a company in Elkhart, running these cranes. The other M that we still run, he ran that brand new when it was first off the line and bought.
And this would have been, these machines are late 60s, early 60s, I should say.
Early 60s, yeah. And made here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, which is, so we should clarify, we are both from Indiana.
Right.
But we could not be farther apart. I'm in southern Indiana, he is in northern Indiana, which puts us about 5.5 hours apart, somewhere in that.
You're by the Kentucky line, I'm by the Michigan line.
I can see Kentucky from my house, he can see Michigan from his house. So
about a mile, well, half a mile from the Michigan state line.
But and you guys actually still have an operating M up north on your other property up there. So you guys keep this machine around for some spare parts and stuff.
Grandpa and Dad had this, they got this in the late 70s, I think it was. Dad was running this machine a lot more because that's all they ran was the cranes back then before they got the excavators. And then that one got parked when they got the excavators, and they started using that one for parts.
Gotcha. And that was actually pretty common back in the day, was having a spare one is the parts department.
Yep,
so
but we didn't have a spare for the WB.
Yeah, I wish I could get a good. It's hard to see with all the brush and how grown up they are, but the WB is considerably bigger than the M.
It is.
So your dad would probably know better than us, or Brandon may even know. This would be considered what, a 3-yard or a 3/4 yard machine?
Yeah.
Three-quarter
yard,
and that's a yard.
and the WB can be considered a yard machine. I know a 1/4 yard in today's standards don't sound like a whole lot, but that's, you got to think, with an excavator you got what, maybe 20-25 foot of boom. These guys were swinging 60+ foot of boom.
Yeah.
So you got a lot more counterweight, a lot more leverage
That
out
right
there.
there on that boom is 60 foot.
60 foot, yeah.
40 foot.
That's 40 foot.
That's 40.
So that's 40 foot of boom. So they actually have 60 foot of boom for the WB. So you can imagine.
60 foot for the other M then.
Okay.
So we run 60 in that one, 50 and 60 on that one.
I believe I read somewhere that with the right setup, you could run 100 foot in an M, but you're only like setting rafters and stuff.
Right.
Digging.
Yeah, you weren't lifting.
But they were a very.
I'm sure with the lack of special entities back in the day. There's more than one or two people that probably pushed the limits on a few things.
They say you're not supposed to run 80 foot in an LS78, but I've done it. You just gotta hang on to her once in a while. Things get a little wild when the dump cable's not quite adjusted.
How many times with these excavators nowadays do you put an oversized bucket on it?
I run a 10-foot ditch bucket on the 270.
Yeah,
we overdo it.
So we got a unique bucket over here. I think your grandfather may have built it. Is this what they call a brush bucket or a brush hook?
Yeah, Grandpa had that made. It's a brush hook. He used it a lot on the M that we've still got running.
Okay.
Now, I was told a brush hook is the #1 way to destroy the tin worth on a drag line, because when you're dragging stuff up to them, you're bringing it towards you. You don't see out your blind side and you shove a stick right through the side panel.
Side of it.
Don't even realize
So,
you're doing it.
I mean, in layman's terms, this is basically a version of a root rake, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys can see down there, but it's basically got teeth on it. You drag this along the ground, the brush gathers in here, and then you would dump it out just like you would a drag line bucket.
When you get to a certain point, it tips back and it holds that in there until you let it go out and then it dumps out.
I bet you could stack one heck of a brush pile with 60 foot of boom.
Grandpa would stack brush with a drag bucket.
Really?
Yeah.
I seen Grandpa, he'd have a big pile and he'd have it on top of the ground, light it on fire, and he'd sit there all day long with the drag bucket and burn it. He'd throw the drag bucket all the way across the fire, hook a log, flip it right up and over into the fire.
Man, it's incredible. It's like watching Jerry on a dozer sometime. Them old timers that did it. Absolutely incredible. Now I'm pretty sure this bucket here is not going to fit on one of these cable machines.
Oh, I'm sure you could probably rig it for
Well, if there's a will, there's a way. I'm not saying
for something, but
yeah, not so.
that goes for our 215 cat backhoe up north.
But it's pretty neat that you guys got, this is the shiv hook part here. So basically this machine could be configured a minimum of what, 3 different ways? Crane?
We've got another one that we use on the M, and we set trusses with that one.
Gotcha. So you got crane, clamshell, or drag.
Oh, you got the tag line laying over there.
We got one tag line.
Keep the clamshells hanging straight.
Hanging straight.
Or they'll sit there and spin.
Yep.
Which I don't see any of it. Is it over there with it? But
yeah, it's sitting right over there.
basically, it's a retractable line that attaches to the boom that keeps that bucket oriented the proper direction. So
It's got a
mount
big
for it
spring
is
in
right
that
here.
rolls up and it keeps tension on it. It's pretty cool.
So it'd sit on these brackets here,
Yep,
just sit
yep.
over this way, and either on one side or the other, and then the tag line would just go out to the cable for the clam.
well, there's one thing for sure. The trees tell us it's been here a while. And I think I mentioned before, Brandon actually pulled the valve cover off the engine. We got some pictures of that. Unfortunately, we don't believe rain has got into it. We believe just over 30, 35 years of sitting here, the condensation has got to it. And I'm not saying it won't come back to life, but it's going to take a little more effort, a little more time than what we got available to poke around on it today. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Is this something we need to look at saving and getting drugged back to Derby? What I would like to do, this is my ultimate goal if I end up with a machine like this, I'd like to have something we can sit out in front of the market as kind of a picture opportunity for all you guys that come to visit, and maybe put a big old American flag on top of it. But here's the but. I want to have something that's in operating order, because 2 or 3 times a year, I'm not against taking one of these things out on the job and putting them to work. I think it'd make some good videos, and I'd just love to have the experience on one of them.
This
So
is considered a 4-part hook block, and this actually makes your lifting capacity. Because single line, they won't lift very much, but you run it through with the block and you get more lifting capacity.
So do you have any, I'm gonna put you on the spot, you ready?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea with 60 foot of stick what the lifting capacity of the 4-part line or 2-part line?
I believe
Almost
on
double,
my
isn't it?
78, it's 30 ton,
That's a lot.
60,000 pounds. Don't hold me to that. We'll have to look at the chart in the crane. But
That's a lot.
That's the hoist cable.
yeah.
That's a lot.
7/8 hoist cable, and then 1 inch on the drag.
No, excuse me. 3/4 on the hoist, 7/8 on the drag.
Okay.
On this crane's probably, I want to say, 40 ton-ish lifting capacity, somewhere in there, 35 to 40 ton.
Probably.
And it's all in how they're rigged, and it's all in how it's all in how high the boom
Boom is, right.
The straighter the boom, the
More you're
they'll
gonna
lift.
get.
Farther out, more leverage on the counterweight, the less they're gonna lift. So there's a lot of things that go into, you gotta do a lot of calculations before a lift. Because these old girls don't tell you, hey, you're lifting too much. You gotta have a guy out counting how many rollers are off the ground.
So Brandon, what's your thoughts here? The chances of getting this thing freed up and tracked out of here? You think it's a 50-50?
50-50, yeah. Worst comes to worst, knock the travel chains off of it, roll it up on the trailer, and
Work on it.
yeah, take it somewhere where it could be worked.
Well, as I mentioned before, one huge advantage we got is we got gentlemen here that have ran this machine and got history on it since it was pretty much new. So that's we're not chasing a whole lot of ghosts. We've been kind of informed of what the issues were with it. If I'm right, I think he said that everything was working when it was parked except for one travel brake. Is that correct? And the engine was running when parked. It did have some hours on it, was showing some wear, but for what we're wanting to do with it, I think if we can get it freed up, it'd be good to go. So
I'd love to see it up and running and not just taken to the scrapyard.
yeah, I think a lot of people would like to see it up and
I'd
running.
like to see it up.
The tin work on it's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
It's in
It's
really good
amazing how
shape.
they did it back
impressed.
then.
And I think it's all there, except maybe one panel under the one drum might be missing, and I think it might be laying here somewhere.
Yeah, I seen it. It's over there on the ground.
Okay, so
I
yeah,
think these two panels were for that.
okay. Well, I mean, it's one of them deals where it's not a deal breaker, but you know, you always like to have all the sheet metal.
It makes, them small things make a big difference.
Because you know, you can't go back to the Insley factory and say, hey, I need this piece of sheet metal. You know?
But we do have all the
You can go down there, but I think FedEx is going to be in its place.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I want to see it running. I want to see it fully repainted.
See, I don't think I'd repaint it.
No?
No, I got to keep it original.
Okay.
I'm not saying I wouldn't, but
Can you at least sand it, clear coat it?
no, I'm not against that.
Be one.
So Matt at Diesel Creek wants to take one of these counterweights that are curved like this and say Insley across it and make a bar out of it. I said, how are you going to get that in your house, buddy?
Where there's a will, there's a will.
I guess.
If you want it in the house, I'll get it in the house for you.
Man.
One way or another.
Well, we can't leave here. As cool as what this is, we can't leave here without checking out the truck.
Oh yeah, I'll check out the truck and I'll show the rack in.
Yeah, so this is an early 60s, correct?
67.
67. That'd be a late 60s.
8V71 Detroit.
8V71 Detroit.
Like I said before, to get any speed out of these, you gotta slam your fingers in the door in the morning and get good and mad, and then drive it.
This guy here, I think he's seen better days.
Last guy that drove it.
You know, all in all,
It's not a bad old truck.
it's not a bad old truck.
No, not bad at all.
And I'll bet you this thing, it may not have a lot of power, but I'll bet she sounds good going down the road.
Oh yeah.
Got good tires all the way around it. So this here, that has been sitting since late 80s, early 90s. I believe this truck here last ran in 2004, 2005. And if I believe right, you actually hauled that WB on that Rogers Lowboy.
We did.
about 6 to 8 inches of the inside of the pads were on the actual trailer.
That had to be a load.
Oh, you know it is a load.
Man, oh man.
And that was a 40-ton trailer, you think? 35 or 40?
I think it's a 40-ton trailer. And that machine would fit on here.
But back in the day, a 40-ton trailer would haul 100 ton.
Yeah.
A 40-ton trailer today hauls 40 ton.
40-ton trailer today will break a 40-ton.
Yeah, there's a difference between 1960 40 ton and 2020 40 ton.
Yeah. And, you know, really, this trailer is a good candidate for a restore also.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's it's got the usual lower beam cancer on it, but I don't think it's bad enough.
If you notice here, the sides are not all bent down.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them.
Nobody done a lot of side loading on it.
Nope.
It is it's not a non-ground bearing, it is a ground bearing detach. But man, these old Roger Lowboys, they were tough old birds. They were tough old birds.
And we had these to go over railroad tracks.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the spacer blocks.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got me about a 4-inch on my Talbert. I just leave them in all the time. I don't like to chance it.
Right.
So is that an aluminum frame on that truck?
Yeah, that's an aluminum frame truck.
That is insane.
That was that's the second auto I've seen with an aluminum frame.
Well, good news, it's not rusted out.
Yeah. I looked at a GMC Journal a couple years ago, and it was bad, real bad. I passed the truck up because it was so bad.
I mean, this truck's not too far gone. It can't be.
No.
It can't be saved.
Yeah, this is the Rogers trailer. There's the tag.
There's a tag right there. Does it say? Can you read the tonnage on it yet?
I don't think so. That's just a DOT inspection.
Oh, we don't need that.
You can break it right there, Daddy.
That's pretty cool. Still got the original sticker on it though.
Oh, we should have pointed out the air heater on this because it was kind of...
Yeah, so that was one thing that was, let me hop up there real quick and kind of show you that.
Yeah.
So this has kind of got an interesting little intake heater on it. These Detroits are kind of notorious for being a little bit cold nature, but if you pump this thing here, from what I understand, it would actually put a little bit of fuel in the intake up here. And this here was some sort of igniter. I'm not even going to pretend like I know how it works, but somehow it makes a little snappy, sparky, and it would basically light that fuel on fire in this intake, and that would build heat for that engine to suck in. That'd help her get her kicked off there a little bit. So
I think it was like a glow plug in a truck.
Glow plug?
You hold it, and then I think maybe you held it, and then you sprayed the fuel on.
Okay, that would make more sense, because then you get that glow plug hot, then spray that fuel against it.
Yeah, and these Detroits, you know, you're saying they're cold natured. Our tile machine that we had a little deal that you opened up, and back in the day, you used to get little pills full of ether.
Yep.
And there was a sharp deal in there. You poke that in there and close the lid, and you run around and start it. It let the ether go in the blower and start them up.
But man, the gears and everything in this thing are immaculate. They look really good.
That little plug up there?
Yep.
Take that out. Squirt ether in there.
The
Start.
drums are need a little work, but
You ever see those ether pills?
I don't know, guys. What do you think?
I've never seen any, but I know what you're talking about.
One other thing I want to show you guys here before we sneak out of here. This is a Cat D6B Dozer, I believe. So this would be a few years newer. This would be a mid-60s model Dozer compared to my mid-50s model D69U, but still pretty similar. It's still a hand clutch direct drive Dozer. It does have the updated engine in it. You said this is a 2-owner machine?
I believe it's 2 owners.
Whoa, I'm about tripped over the pipe here, but man, it's sheet metal's still good on it. All of it's still there. As you guys can tell, this thing has been sitting for a while as well. The first clue would be the tree growing up through the cylinder there, but when's the last time you think this one's been running?
2005.
2005?
It ran good back then.
Well, still got the can on the exhaust. I'd say there's hope for it. The undercarriage on this old girl don't look bad at all. It's just lost in time, guys. Just sitting here, lost in time. What a beauty. That is definitely one worth dragging out of the weeds and see what she's got left in the tank for sure.
We do have a brush rake for it.
Really?
Yep, we got a brand new one that we were going to weld on. As you can see, you've got these pockets here.
Yep.
There was big honking metal hooks that you had to put down.
Sorry, my GoPro battery died there, but you were saying you basically had a brush rake you could put on there and some of the...
Yeah, we had 4, these pockets here, there was 4 of them, and they were just big steel pieces that bolted on, that went up and down. It had like an angle iron that came up this way for the bottom of the blade to sit in, and then bolt onto these hooks here in those 4 spots. Kids stole those from us, trying to scrap them out.
So what's the plan for this one? You still I know this got some family history with this one. You still hope to get her drug out of the weeds and get her going?
I would love to get her drug out of the weeds and going again.
That was part of the deal I made with his dad, is if I end up with a WB and I get it going, I gotta let him come down and operate it. And that's part of the enticement for me, because that would be pretty cool to see one of the original operators in the seat there. But man, you guys got some really neat pieces sitting back here in the woods. I hope we can help you maybe get 1 or 2 of them going. That'd be really cool.
This was really fun to run. I mean, it was, compared to the newer dozers.
Oh, there's no comparison.
There's no comparison, because you're just sitting in there, you're just doing this. This machine, to get this to turn right, you'd have to push on this brake and pull this lever to stop this track that I'm on, so that track would just pull you around.
Yeah. Very similar to the D69Us we got. Actually, this is a little newer machine than what the one I got is, but there's the exact same dozer, almost identical, is sitting about 3 miles from the house, but it's cable blade instead of hydraulic blade.
Yeah.
It's and it's got a factory cab on it. So
There used to be some sidewalls that the previous owners had made up for this with plexiglass and metal frames that you can put all around this and have it kind of enclosed. But those
so many of these old Dozers, they didn't even come with rollover protection. So every one of these has got a different style cab on them because people just build them out of whatever they had available. So pretty cool, man. I sure appreciate your time this morning, letting us come out and check out these old machines and poke around them and see them. It is definitely neat for sure. So guys, I need you to comment down below and let me know what you think we should do. I hate seeing this old thing rusting away here in the weeds, but it is about 5 hours from the house and it might be a little bit more work than what I want to get into, but I'm not saying I'm afraid of it. And you guys, I'm kind of like Matt. I got a few other projects I need to finish up, but we also have to have some sitting on the lot to work on in the future. So I can't thank Justin and his dad. It's been a lot of fun visiting with these guys this morning, hearing the history of these machines and hearing them talking about them. Obviously they're passionate about it. These things have been family members to them for a long time, and it's killing them, letting them sit here in the woods and kind of rot away. So they're trying to find a way to keep them out of the scrappers' hands, and I'd love to be part of that solution. So we'll have to see how it all pans out here for sure. But man, there's no doubt we got some work ahead of us if we decide to go that route. So also a huge thanks to Brandon from Dirt Grain and Steel. I'll link his channel down below. If you guys haven't seen his stuff, you ought to. I actually found his channel a few years ago when he was putting tracks on a Gleaner combine. Some pretty cool stuff. So I'll link him down below. Be sure to go check him out. But yeah, comment down below, guys. Let me know what you think. Should we try to tackle this project? Should we look for a different one? A little closer to home, maybe a little less work? I don't know. We got options, which are definitely nice to have. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big old thumbs up. You want to make sure you don't miss out on what we decide. I'd consider subscribing. That way we can catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.